Please welcome Dr. Nino to the stage.
So good morning, everyone. It's really great to see such a beautiful day on the beautiful Pensacola beach, where actually first time I was introduced to Pensacola through a movie. So I watched Julie Foster meet her late father, and this beautiful images of Pensacola beach, showed up, and I'm thinking, wow, this looks really like paradise. So yesterday morning I ventured. Walked a couple of miles down the beach, and it was really, indeed, as beautiful as it was in that movie. So no retouching, no photoshopping. This is just one beautiful place. So since you've been introduced to my company, Konica Minolta, Konica Minolta is a Japanese headquartered company, but it's a global company in nature. We operate in 50 countries, and there are about 45,000 employees worldwide. Before that, I worked for Huawei, as EJ mentioned. It's another Chinese company with about 200,000 employees and contractors working all over the place, except the United States, I might say. But that's a long story, maybe for another occasion. In the Eastern cultures, usually in the morning we kind of just go and do a little exercise, just kind of get us moving. And I'm not going to ask you to do exercise, but I would like to ask the audience, just so I can adjust my speech and talk to everybody. How many of us here, as we heard, nerd heads or IT professionals, and even IT, doing IT kind of as a day job. So, all right. How many of us working for a small, medium-sized company, let's say less than 250 employees? Okay, and I would assume the rest is for everybody about 500 or more. Large. Oh, okay, so it's even spread. Good. It will help me talk a little bit about what I want to talk to today. And I was told that I was lucky to have a really great job, being a chief technologist for Business Innovation Center, which is an organization within a Konica Minolta that's actually looking for a new and upcoming trend. They're looking for new exciting technology on a global basis, and trying to figure out, how we take advantage of what's the latest and greatest, bring it inside the company, and figure out how we turn that innovation into a new business opportunity for us and on the delight of our customers. So I'll give you a couple of actually my personal experiences going way back 20 plus more years, where I have actually worked for a company called Sun Microsystems. Any Java developers or programmers here? Okay, interesting. Okay, so this is really interesting because a couple of years back, Java was supposed to be aspirin that actually a pill that it just takes over and it solves all of our computing problem because it's ubiquitous. It allows us to write an application that runs on anything and everything, including Microsoft operating system, which was at that time kind of a big divide between engineering organizations like Sun Microsystems, which now is known as Oracle, and the rest of the enterprise world. And what we see today also that kind of similar divide exists even 20 years after, except it is not a Windows and Unix, but it's now Windows, iOS, and Android. And as technology and user technology is moving from a user's perspective mostly into a mobile arena, where now we're accessing our basis application, basic tool to our mobile devices. It is less and less, in terms of what is the technology that is driving it, but mostly what kind of application you are going to develop, what kind of application you are going to be building, and how these applications are going to be supported in increasingly mobile environment. So from an innovation point of view, I'll just I'll do this little story. So when I joined Sun Microsystems, Sun Micro was a couple of $1 billion company, mostly catering to engineering folks. And Worldwide Web was just about coming out of labs and university work, and we're not for sure exactly how this new technology is going to be utilized and who is going to be actually taking advantage of it. So to make a long story short, Sun Microsystems on a theme of innovation had actually a very specific way of doing innovation. They called it Sun Planets. An idea behind the innovation in Sun Micro is if you have an idea, and you really would like to pursue it, we'll give you a chance. We'll spin you off. So here is a 10, 15, 20, 30 people team that Sun Micro will spin off, kind of let them cook their own juices, let them compete on their own merit. No tie to the mothership, no help from a big brother. You want to do it, it's yours. Just like any other startup, a little bit of money, small offices, and you're on your own. So there was a small group that was actually spun off at that time with the gentleman whose last name is Gosling, and they wanted to actually build a better end-user consumer experience. So they were thinking it was at that time TVs as where most of the consumer experience was actually happening around. And I said, well, imagine if you could have a better DVR, VCR at that time. Can they actually deliver digital content? And this was like 1995. Can we deliver digital content to this massive audience that's aggregating and family rooms around the TV screens? And they did it. It was just great technology. It looked beautiful. It looked just like TV today, but it was like 20 years ago. And the only problem was that DVR that they invented was a $5,000 box. So obviously, in 1995, paying $5,000 for a DVR, just will not work. And after a year, they just have been able actually to get a manufacturing at a scale, to get the supply chain working out, so that they can really what was beautiful and exciting technology with unbelievable user interface into production. So they said, okay, you get your 2 years, you get your jiggles out. Okay, time to come back home and do something else. In the process of building this whole end-to-end system, they actually invented everything from the ground up. They invented new runtime environment. They invented and built new programming language. They invented new way of communicating, building user interfaces. And at that time, I was also engineer at Sun Microsystems. I was reporting to Mr. Eric Schmidt. You know Eric Schmidt is a former CEO of Google. Before that, he was a former CEO of Novell and CTO at Sun Microsystems, one of the early engineering co-founders of Sun Micro. So I was tinkering this with this Worldwide Web technology at the time. With a couple of engineers, we came up with some interesting environment in trying to figure out how to use this new exciting technology within the company and build a fully integrated development environment experience utilizing Worldwide Web concepts and this new way of using a computer system behind it. And the has come to us to say, well, now you have it, how we are going to take advantage and productize it. And he suggested that I meet with a couple of these engineers that they had just brought in back into Sunfold, and they, I talked to at that time a developer and inventor of language that was called Lightalk, which was beautiful interpretive environment, which you can actually write code and literally it will run anywhere. So he and I paired up. Took our design of integrated development environment based on World Wide Web technology, used the Lightalk language. We kind of put those things together, and 6 months later, our effort resulted in two things. Scott McNeely, who was a CEO of Sun Microsystems at the time, had decided to cancel a project that was going on for approximately 4 years at a time. It had 1,000 engineers in it. It was called DOE. And he decided to repurpose that group to work on this new technology that in the meantime we have known as a Lightalk, that has been renamed into Java. So here we are, taking something that looked like a completely failure, from a business perspective, and becoming as a major driver in enterprise computing for decades and years to come. So it's sort of a little bit of a lesson in where is innovation coming from. It's largely from anywhere. Anyone can be innovator. You don't have to have a chief innovation officer or work in a business innovation center or work in a innovation lab in order to be innovative. For many years, Google have established a principle in the company that not only allow, but also have really enforced the notion within the company that everybody can be innovative. So they said, well, we know being in Silicon Valley, everybody can go out, start a company, go for funding, and do it for themselves. What if we enable anybody in the company to be innovative? So they allowed a 20% of the engineering time of anybody in the company to be spent on any idea of their own and build it and try it. So if you look into a huge amount of innovation that actually Google generated beyond a search, which was their kind of bread and butter, is all of this technology that we are now using, including what comes with the Android system, which now is a predominant platform that that's being used for building and designing, developing, deploying applications that we are using and touching on a daily basis. So here's a kind of two interesting things. A company that spins up their groups and let them figure it out for themselves. If it succeeds, great. If it doesn't succeed, great again. Because there was an excellent technology that was actually brought back into the company. So what I'm trying to say is, how you value success of innovation, it's really interesting because not necessarily it's immediately an immediate gratification or understanding how it's going to return. The interesting thing in the last maybe 5 to 10 years is acceptance of open source. If you look, what open source has done for technology and for IT in general, it really enabled everybody and anybody to become innovative. And now, this time, without borders. So what we are seeing now is that, literally high school kids, more and more of the startups are actually started by the kids at school. So we pay our kids to go to to go to universities. They go there, they get their degree. In the meantime, none of them actually build and start a company. usually starts, take this course and take that course and find a buddy who is also in marketing and have another buddy who is in business school. They put something together and try it and roll out. Now, after 10 years, we have Facebook and many others. So innovation now, through a cloud, through an open source, through ability today that literally everybody can have a high-powered computing in the palm of their hand, with only an idea and ability to pursue it, it can be innovative. So there's no borders anymore. There is no a privileged few that can actually be innovators. It is really your imagination and your will to pursue your ideas, to take something that you think would be useful, build it yourself or a small group of your friends, put it out there, and actually see how much attraction it actually provides in the marketplace. So beside the technology, this is now becoming available for anybody to use. Now, due to innovation and funding through crowdsourcing and crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, anybody can be your investor. So if I have an idea and a couple of friends that are candid, we can put things together, drop it into Amazon. Now I have a platform that I can actually fund it. It doesn't cost me anything. I go register my project at Kickstarter, and Kickstarter, just like Amazon, is prolific, is everywhere, it's accessible by anybody at any given point in time, irrespective of time zones. And now suddenly, here's a Pebble. Pebble is a little smartwatch that nobody wanted actually to make investment into when they went around and talked to a number of VCs. And this, young kids from Canada said, well, let's put it on Kickstarter. So they put it on Kickstarter, and to their surprise and delight, they raised $10 million. They were looking for 100,000, and they raised 10 million. The second time around, it was just the same time that Apple came up with the iWatch. They raised another round, this time 80 million, in spite of the fact that Apple, had just announced the availability of the iWatch. So, the reason why I'm saying this is that there's no longer excuse. There's no excuse for anybody of us, actually. If we have a bright idea, sometime after we had to say, oh, gee, but I thought about this like 5 years ago or 2 months ago, If you have an idea now, you can actually do it. But there's always catch in all this, as you can imagine, there's a lot of these ideas that actually, get to the point we build a prototype, maybe, they figured out, how to build the first product, and that's where the kind of tire hits the road, or rubber hits the road. Another lecture is that anybody can fail. It doesn't matter how deep your pockets are. If you are not thinking about your customers. So people were thinking, oh, okay, we came up with this great hundred platform, we give it away, the world is on it, we might as well build a phone. So they built the first phone, and it was like, oh, this is going to be slam dunk. It's my technology. It's already greatly adopted in industry. And by virtue of having a Google brand name on the Google phone, it is a slam dunk. So they launched the Google phone. That's one of the worst failures from a product perspective Not because that Google found, the first Nexus release was actually bad technology. Google do things really good. They were out of it. And out of it to the point where if I have an issue, I want to ask somebody, the only way I can do it is actually send email to Google and hope maybe 3 or 5 days later they'll kind of get reply to what my problem is. So they sold at $10,000. And that was it. Well, I mean, I'm sure they learned from that experience. So, you look back into innovation and say, okay, now that I have access to all of these tools, a lot of this is open source. I can actually scale it, without upfront huge investment because, I can develop a server side within Amazon. I can write a application that actually now I can deploy it on Google and iOS platform, and I can have literally hundreds of millions of potential customers. It's still this customer touch, the way how you treat the customer, how you listen what customer is telling you, that really makes or breaks the product. So innovation in its own right, if doesn't have this follow-up, and if you do not establish a relationship with your customer or your community, it's kind of doomed to fail. Now, you put a social media on top of this, and it has an unbelievable compounding effect. Because, let's be honest, how I had to pay for this application $2. And I'm already thinking, okay, should I buy it or not? It's $2, this is paid. And the reason being is because, we go to Apple Store or Google Play and everything is sort of for free. We don't think about, how long, how many sleepless nights, and many of these companies that start, they're not paid. Many work really for zero, pay for many years, hoping that, some of them will hope that they will be next Twitter or Google or Facebook. Others, just want to see their name or their technology being used. And, now we pay the $2 and it doesn't work. Or it doesn't work as advertised. So what do? We send a tweet, or we blast it right there, under that product offer. So here's a compounding effect of social media on telling you that your products suck. So what do you do now? Okay. So there's an interesting phenomenon that everybody is innovator. Everybody can build a product. When I say everybody can build a product, assuming you know what you're doing, but there's no barrier of entry. I don't need a $100,000 investment in some fancy development environment tools before I can do it. I don't need $1 million investment in IT infrastructure so I can run it and serve. I don't need to build an e-commerce platform because I can just get one from Amazon or just put my application in one of those application stores and it has an instant visibility to hundreds of millions of potential users. Okay. But I have to worry about now what my customers can say for something that maybe I gave it for free and they're still complaining. Or I sold them for $1 or $2. And oh my God, you wake up in the morning and say, oh, I suck. Okay, what do I do now? Okay, and issues around the social media and impact that they actually make on everything that we do, build and touch, it's really unbelievable. Unbelievable to the point that's actually now driving yet another wave of innovation. I'm sure everybody by now knows about big data and analytics. So now you have these companies that are coming up and actually collecting all the data, all these tweets, and doing analytics on top of this. And that's scoring you. So now you can actually go and buy a service and say, okay, I can buy now a service that will tell me instantaneously, is my product a duck or is my product successful? do they like it, hate it? What are the set of issues? So, market research now has moved in analysis on data that's already there. And the World Wide Web, readily available to somebody who has this big data capability and analytics, and can actually do it faster than your competition. And reason being is that sometimes you just like to be ahead of your customers. Hopefully, you will be there. And being ahead of a customer is understanding what is the issue that's facing your product, and how can you tell it before Twitter starts actually talking about it. So one innovation leads into another, and it looks like it's kind of never-ending story. There's always something new to discover. There's always something new to do. When I was with this, before my job with Konica Minolta, I was a head of innovation lab for a company called Huawei. It took me 5 years to figure out how to pronounce it. It's a little Chinese company out of Shenzhen. When I joined Cisco, my first day, our CEO at the time, John, stood up and gave a presentation on this unknown Chinese company, just kind of start hitting on the system later. And John said, it was 2004. Well, we don't know that much of this company because it's private. It's coming from China. We believe that it's about 3.5, maybe $5 billion in revenue. Heavily sponsored and unfairly targeting all our customers because they can actually get a cheap credit from Chinese government, compete with us on the global market, and it's actually starting to win. And by the way, we believe that they stole our IP. Somebody opened one of those Chinese Huawei routers and switches, and it looks like it looks like iOS. iOS is a operating system that Cisco invented, and it is a course of it that you're running. So, from 2004, the Huawei actually grew when I joined them, and I joined them out of curiosity because I wanted to understand how this company that I first time heard in 2004, couldn't even pronounce their name, moved from a $3 or $4 billion that we were thinking into, when I joined, was 27 billion. When I left was 33, which is 2012. Today, they just made a $41 billion in revenue last year, and we had a major meltdown in the global economy, and they have been able to. But what I learned about Huawei is a relentless pursuit of a customer deal. You just cannot tell these guys no. They don't know what no means. Maybe they pretend that they don't understand it, but let me tell you, they understand it extremely well. If you start thinking in terms of China behind, and by now you can see tremendous success of companies like Alibaba. You look into a businesses like Baidu, which is 5 times the size of Google, and it's understanding a reach of a global company that just doesn't know what no means and keeps going up. So, for all of us that are in technology, now, looking back in innovation and trying to think, where is my competition coming from? Is it from a companies like Huawei? Or is it that a college kid that, just about to graduate but already has its own company or her own company? It tells you that there's no elite that's entitled to innovation because they are extremely There's no excuse to go and pursue and do something because open source community helps us all raise the capabilities for all of us that we can actually go in and build and deliver the latest app. There is no boundary in terms of how big your IT environment can be because it's in Amazon, it's on demand, and with understanding your customer through social media, you can really now build and deliver products and technology to the life of your customers. And it could be literally one or two person in the garage, or it could be a state-sponsored company like Huawei with the same results. Quality will not be the different. Innovation as a result of work on the problem is not going to be smaller or larger than it is. So it is all about willingness to pursue what you have dreamed of and ability to touch and reach your potential customer and create an opportunity for a customer to tell you what they think. I'll just give you one more example, and then I think I'm done because I see PJ kind of showing me that you're getting to the end of the time. So I've been in high performance computing, distributed system, and on services, early adopter of World Wide Web and Internet, everything else, and spent like 4 years in a network management. Again, this is one of those things, it's really exhausting, and many times, we work, especially in an IT environment, we're making sure that everything runs, it's almost like, oh, okay, yet another, dreadful day in the bowels of an IT, So I went to one of these interop shows, and I'm walking around, there was ITEN, and there was HP, and there was CA, and a bunch of others, and everything. And then in the middle of this, huge room in Las Vegas, there's this kind of orange booth. This was actually by far the largest booth, and even larger than IBM and HP, and it was Intel. Okay, so you can imagine what it really means. Thinking, how much money these guys are spending? Who the heck is that? Never heard of it. So they had this chili pepper, orange chili pepper, and behind red chili pepper behind an orange banner, spice mix. I said, okay, I'm just going to see what the heck these guys do. So, I approached and said, okay, can you tell me who you are, what you do? And the guy was just, all over me. He's so excited, talking about, what you can do and how great it is and everything. And I said, oh, okay. I'm at Huawei. This is actually very interesting, targeting small, medium-sized enterprise. We're building a platform, for telcos to actually deliver the services. This could be, interesting. And he's actually not selling them, just telling me, how this, asset management is a great tool and help this company. I was helping them to solve all these problems. I said, okay, great. Can you give me your card? And the guy, come over here. Okay. And I said, no, I'm a customer. Okay, I'll So, hey, madam, somebody wants to talk to you about, So, I learned on this group that, like 3/4 of people giving the demos are actually customers. So we're not even employed with the company. Turned out that Spicework is one of those interesting businesses. Again, one of the companies nobody wanted to fund initially, because the idea is to build an asset management tool. There were a ton of asset management tools by that time, by famous names. So the idea was build an asset management tool, give it away, and in exchange, be able to provide some value-added ads through a web browser who was actually used as a ubiquitous UI for this asset management software. Long story short, they built an unbelievable community, but maybe 4 or 5 million IT professionals globally. they have these Spiceworks forums, and then actually, they're working like a huge crowdsourced community. If you have a problem, you can ask, and it will be answered. And guess what? This was one of the rare situations in which there's a company that essentially is a media company, is being paid by advertisers like Dell and HP and people who are selling to us. Providing ads on the same user interface that we're using to access our asset control and asset management solution. It's unbelievable. It's the first time I heard, 2 minutes, first time I heard that that an IT professional would be tolerating somebody serving ads on a system that I'm using a day-to-day basis to actually manage my IT environment. But this point is to go to a power of engaging your customer. Because Spiceworks have never abused that privilege and always tried to provide a value. And next release was always what their community have voted. What do you guys think is your problem, or what is the set of features for the next release? So essentially, community voted on telling the company what to build and what to deliver to a community of their users, which was built around this freebie software that company has built. And then on top of this, actually providing the value by sponsors like Dell that will serve the ad and say, hey, for anybody who I see you have computers that are 5 years old, older than 5 years, and have been running constantly, at a peak and generating a ton of page faults. Hey, here's an opportunity. I'll give you a 25% discount if you go and switch or buy new gear. So, for this example, it's just kind of compounding effect of everything that I was trying to say. A small company can do things that already exist, can innovate this time around in the business model space, because their ideas will give this for free, and they will have others help us serve the community better, and it's sort of win-win-win situation. Dell and other OEMs actually love it because they know that they are targeting a right constituencies. There are 4 million IT professionals on the Spiceworks network are the right people to talk to. IT professionals benefit because they're getting exactly the kind of the software and the capability, the technology that they need. And the company that's actually brokering all this is obviously benefiting because they just got another $100 million in investment that they've been doing quite well ever since they have started. So with this, I will actually stop here and wrap the speech. And I don't say impromptu speech because I was asked to join and deliver in the last minute. And I'm really glad that I'm in Pensacola. The beach is beautiful, as in the posted movie. This is a great crowd. We heard from a great panelist yesterday on an issue of talent. Don't be afraid to reach. Water is much better and beach is much better than in Silicon Valley, I can tell you that. Houses are still much cheaper. So you have a lot to offer. You just have to be proactive, you have to reach out. And don't be afraid to look into small companies that are 2 or 3 companies that have a 10, 15 people. Sometimes acquiring is the best way to recruit. So reach out, look into incubators, be proactive, and you'll be able actually to hire someone that you need, and we will all be innovative. So with this, I will just close, and thank you very much for hope not wasted 45 minutes or 47. And I don't know if anybody has any questions, you can ask me now. I'm going to be hanging here because my colleague and I, Kathleen, will be heading to Pensacola around 2 o'clock, so we're not till 2, feel free to reach me and ask me questions. So, TJ, am I?